What are you guys supposed to be? Some kind of suicide squad? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Jeremy, and movies are terrible. And every once in a while, though, we get a gem. Every once in a while, we get a movie that is pretty rad. And today, we're going to be talking about one of those films that is 20... Come on, fan. That is 2021 Suicide Squad. What's going on, Jay Wolfie, Nick Mayfield, Brad Feddick, Colby Sullivan, and King of the Hills 34. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. The Team Terrible MVPs in the chat. King of the Hills starting things off right this morning with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. The Rescue Rick Flag mission twist dropped my jaw. I didn't see that coming. Like I said before, pretty good movie and a thumbs up from me. We are a little bit later in the podcast going to dive into some of the comments that were left on my review of it itself. That way I can hear from you guys. And then also I would love to hear from you in the live chat as well. King of the Hills 34, just right up top. Yeah, man, that was probably the most jaw-dropping revelation in the movie. And for a second, it might have like, I don't know how I felt about it, but it made me feel some type of way. That's for sure. So yeah, we'll get a little bit further into that here in just a little bit. Thank you very much, Jay Wolfie. Always appreciate that. It looks like we've got Nick Mayfield. Oh, think I said what's up to you. TMS, SMT, and the Distract. Yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about this movie because it's one that I love parts of it, and then other parts of it I didn't love it all. So I'm like in this interesting place where like so much about it worked. And then there were a couple things that didn't quite work as well. So when I did my movie review yesterday, you know, I ranked it pretty high. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 just to put that out there. However, there were a couple of moments that I feel if Gunn would have just made a choice that aligned with what choices I would have made, I would have probably preferred the movie a little bit more. Which makes sense, right? I mean, we all, wish that the movies did the things that we wish they did. But I also totally respect James Gunn for going his own way and doing the thing that he wanted to do, no matter how wacky it is. Random Andy's channel, what's up, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. What's up, Brad? I know you're going to see the movie a little bit later this afternoon. Hopefully you do not catch any spoilers that you're not wanting to hear, because we are going to be talking about that. I mean, we're talking about everything. I'm talking to you as if you've seen the movie. You're more than welcome to hang out. That goes for any of you that haven't seen the movie. If you don't care and you're here, fuck it. Let's have the conversation. But if you don't want to know anything about the movie going into it other than what you've already seen in the trailers, just add this video to your favorites list. I'll be here. You can just stop by and check it out whenever you've seen the film. But anyways, now that we've got that out of the way, just wanted to take a second to say if you want to contribute and support the Movies Are Terrible YouTube channel, there's a couple of different ways. You can go about that. You can click the join button below. You can check out Movies Are Terrible on Patreon. There are exclusive content offers, just different little perks that you get from one to the next for, being a person that is a Team Terrible MVP and helps keep the channel chugging along. So check out the Patreon, check out the membership here on YouTube. And if you want some merchandise, head over to Terrible Apparel on Teespring. I've got some cool t-shirts and other stuff over there. I'm working on some digital products, including like wallpapers for your phones and all sorts of stuff like that. What's up, Chris M? How you doing, man? So just so a lot of you guys know, I am a huge fan of exploitation and shock cinema. There was a list of movies that were banned in the UK. They call them video nasties. And these video nasties were controversial films that were released under an X rating by like the UK Film Board and banned in several countries. And there was a time in my life that I was like, I'm going to go and watch all of these movies. Everything from Martyrs to Salo to Cannibal Holocaust to Inside. There's a bunch of very, graphic, gory movies out there. And when I did my Suicide Squad review yesterday, I mentioned that it's one of the goriest movies I've ever seen. While I still contend it is one of the goriest movies I've ever seen, I came up with a couple examples of things that are probably more gory. Deadpool 2 does a little bit of it. The Boys does a lot more of it. The Boys is kind of gory in the same way that the Suicide Squad is. And then if you took Invincible and you turned it into live action, that would be the kind of gore that we got out of the Suicide Squad. So I stand by the fact that it's super gory. Now, maybe it didn't hit you as being gory, and that's subjective. But I'm just talking about eviscerated, mutilated bodies, heads getting blown up, fucking close-ups on birds plucking guts out of Michael Rooker's character Savant's face. I mean, there is some gnarly shit in it. And I got to tell you, the stuff that I thought the grossest was Starro at the end. I was just like, bleh. There's something about that. Whole thing is nasty. Anyways, so the movie, as you guys know, it opens with Rooker's Savant, and I love this. Michael Rooker is actually going to be at Pensacon this year. I had the pleasure of meeting Rooker 6 years ago at Pensacon, and he was the coolest motherfucker. I got a small interview with him. I'll try to share a link down in the description. It might be unlisted just because it was so brief, and I was chewing gum when I did it. So as I watched the video and playback, I was kind of embarrassed. I'm like, damn, dude, you can't be chewing gum when you're interviewing celebrities like this. Like, you see it in my mouth and shit. But he was super cool. He was in Slither, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Slither was written and directed by James Gunn, and it's incredibly gory. And I feel like some of the elements of Slither, body horror, 1950s science fiction, a lot of that stuff made its way into this film, which I really appreciate. He was also in The Walking Dead. He played Merle Dixon in the first season of The Walking Dead, Daryl's brother. Of course, he's Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I love that they open it up with Folsom Prison Blues, the live edition from the Live at Folsom Prison Johnny Cash album, which is one of the best albums of all time. And Amanda Waller, within the first 4 minutes and some change of the movie, she's established the premise, which is economical. And I gotta say, we gotta give a little bit of thanks to David Ayer's 2016 film for doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as exposition, because we're just off to the races in this one. But she's like, you're gonna get the chip in your brain, 10 years off your sentence, go out there and do the thing. If you go against our rules, we're gonna blow your head up. And it introduces us to the squad, these are the characters. You're gonna get Weasel, Boomer, Harley, Savant, Mongol, whatever the fuck her name is, Blackheart, Javelin, TDK, the detachable kid, and Rick Flag, and Harley. Oh yeah, I put her on there. So it's funny because at the beginning, the Task Force X employees are kind of betting on which of these is gonna survive or who's gonna die. It's a Deadpool, if you will. They kind of did that in the bar in the Deadpool movies. It felt a lot like Cabin in the Woods to me. These Task Force X employees behind the scenes kind of monitoring everything on surveillance. Very, very Cabin in the Woods. Not a bad thing. Just making an observation. I'm not saying Suicide Squad ripped off Cabin in the Woods. I'm just saying, hey, when I saw that, I thought about Cabin in the Woods. You get what I'm saying, man. TDK started slapping the shit out of those guys. Dude, it was so funny. What a stupid power. Rob Cameron, what's up, buddy? Anybody that I missed in the chat, thanks for coming by. Jarrett Adams, Michael Mark, all you guys. I hated the animal cruelty. Michael Mark, I can understand that. I can understand that for sure. There was a bit of cruelty in it, and I'll come back around to that a little bit later when I get to my actual, kind of final thoughts and things like that. But I don't disagree. So a couple of those characters, I'm not sure if you know this, but the guy in it, that's Steve Agee. He's very beloved in the comedy community. He was like one of the first alt comics. You can see his stuff in the Sarah Silverman show. He's also in Brightburn. He's got a small role in Brightburn. And he's going to be in the Peacemaker series. He and James Gunn's dime piece of a trophy wife, Jennifer Holland, she's also got a major role in Peacemaker and a minor role in Brightburn. So you love to see these directors that put their people on. He's got his crew that he likes to work with. He's got friends he's brought with him along the way. Sean Gunn's got a hilarious cameo in this movie that's like, "You fucking pussy." I don't even remember what he says, but I was just dying laughing, dude. Sean Gunn also going to be at Pensacon. Steve Agee also going to be at Pensacon. I'm so thrilled. I don't know if you guys have seen the lineup for this year's convention, but it is probably the best yet. Very excited about Pensacon going on in February this year. So, yeah, it's cool to see James Gunn put his people over like that. I really appreciate it. That package had to be prosthetic, Nick, but I'm not sure. Hard to say. Lots of snap zooms in this movie. Just kind of throwing that out there. Like, too many snap zooms? I don't know. There's a lot of, like, go in tight, pull back, go in tight, pull back. Just a little, like, what a snap zoom is. Just womp, womp. And they do that a lot. It reminds me of, like, I think Attack of the Clones was the first I saw, like, the use of a digital snap zoom, and they do a bit of that in this movie. I guess it's kind of something you see in war movies, but this is a very stylish film. I like the fact that James Gunn's visual imprint is all over this thing. I mean, it's unmistakable, and it's also the same cinematographer that Gunn used with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is cool. I like that. Again, carrying his people with him. I really do appreciate that. I got a question. Did Amanda Waller intend for Flag and Quinn to survive or die at the beginning? Because it's almost like that whole Team 1, they were just a diversion. They were only there to ensure that Team 2 made it onto the beach. But I was thinking, like, Flag and Quinn, they were effective on a mission that may or may not have happened in this continuity. Maybe she doesn't care, but I like Flag so much better in this movie. And I also love Harley Quinn's first costume. It is so sick to see her in, like, the kind of Injustice leather bomber suit deal. Super cool. I liked Harley a lot in this movie, but this is not a Harley Quinn movie. And I kind of appreciated that, but as a byproduct of that, the Harley Quinn stuff felt just strangely detached from everything else in the movie, which isn't completely dissimilar to David Ayer's 2016 film. And I will say, this movie is a lot like the 2016 film, blessed with the gift of hindsight. These are not dramatically different films. They open up in the prison with Amanda Waller introducing us to each of the characters over a soundtrack of popular music. There's all the exposition that goes down. Later on in the movie, there's like a bar scene where all of them are bonding. At the end of it, they're like gunning down these brainless, formerly human drone characters that are all part of this collective hive mind. Just James Gunn had the blessing of hindsight, so he can go in and address each and every one of those criticisms about the first one and make it better, Like, that's the deal, is like, oh, you didn't like it when the putties at the end didn't have, they weren't humanoid. So now we're just going to put the star face over the faces, and now they're humans. You can see that they're humans, but they're still possessed, so it's not as bad. Granted, it's not like the Suicide Squad doesn't just fucking murder innocents all through this movie, which it either is or it isn't going to work. But back at the very beginning, at this first scene, which is one of the best action movie scenes I've ever seen. Just so fun, so hilarious. But we get the chopper scene, which is also very obligatory of action movies. We got it in Suicide Squad 2016. You've got all of these ragtag characters dialogue between each other. We've seen this before, but we've seen it because it works. And that dialogue is so funny. I love the weasel stuff. I love the "is he a werewolf" thing with Pete Davidson. And then when he jumps into the water and just immediately drowns, dude, or we think he drowns, but that is so funny. Like, there's so many subversions of our expectations. Anybody check if the weasel could swim? And he's just, bah! And Savant saves him. He's like, you fucking amateurs. So it's funny. It's like, it's setting up the movie as if Savant is going to be the protagonist of this movie. But you and I both know they don't cast people that look like Michael Rooker to be protagonists unless they're serial killers. Then you can be the fucked up protagonist. But yeah, mostly Rooker doesn't get to be the leading man. So I thought it was funny how they kind of set him up as he's going to be the hero. What an oversight, though. Oops, didn't even know if the weasel could swim. And it's also funny that Blackheart just sold out the whole team. Hey, guys, they're all here. Just spare me. Which worked out great as far as the diversion tactics. I don't know if Lollar knew that he was going to do that when he went in, but, you know, it sets off just this hilarious chain of events. The Corps de Maltese soldiers, they kill him anyways, and it goes into one of the most batshit scenarios ever, and I loved it. And when Mongol goes running and jumps over that rock and grabs the helicopter, and his shit just starts spinning, dude. Starts spinning, and you're like, oh, fuck, this looks like the set of the Twilight Zone movie. If you don't get that reference, look it up. You'll have a good laugh. John Landis, man. Wow. But anyways, I was like, okay, this is wild. I wasn't expecting that. And it's so funny when TDK... he's like going into action and his arms detach and they go and they're like swinging and slapping and the guys are just like, this is mildly annoying, you know, stop. Thought that was funny. And then Boomer, when that helicopter goes down, Boomer just gets murdered, boomerang right at the beginning of the movie, and he was one of the best parts of Suicide Squad 2016. So that was a shocker. But suffice it to say, they pretty much all die. Savant is just looking at this carnage everywhere. It's crazy. Just destroyed team. Mongols on fire trying to crawl away from the helicopter. You're just like, damn, what a mess. And you know shit's fucked up when you think your best option is to just take off swimming back into the ocean. Like, all right, no, nothing good here. I'm just going to take my chances in the water. Maybe he thought Aquaman was going to save him. You know? It didn't end up happening, though. Amanda Waller's like, turn around. He just keeps going, and she detonates his head. And then Warner Brothers presents the Suicide Squad, and the way that the blood forms the words was just, it's great. It's fantastic stuff. And actually, Nick from the diss track mentioned that to me, how he liked those uses of title cards or text across the screen. And there's a lot of really good uses of that. I like the Jotunheim thing at the end. It was like a forced perspective, and as it moves through the shot, you see like there are just these disparate items that happen to line up perfectly to spell it out if you look at it through a certain perspective. Clever shit, you know? Clever shit. I think the best needle drop in the movie is when it plays the Jim Carroll band at the beginning, when it does. They were all my friends and they died. That's a great song. And yeah, what a perfect marriage of music and scene, and it's just going around and showing all the fallout of it. I also really thought the javelin scene was funny. Harley lands in the little bunker with him, and he's like, "You are the only one fit to bear my children." Like, I mean, if it's her or Mongol, I guess so. But that shit was funny. You take my javelin, and of course, it's what do you call it? Whose gun is it? Normally, I know this. It's somebody's gun. And if you set it up in the first scene, you got to pay it off in the third scene. And they did that perfectly. Like, what a fantastic way to... Chekhov's gun. It's Chekhov's gun. You introduce it at the beginning. You got to use it in the third. And they do that brilliantly. It's like Javelin dies before he gets to tell her what to do with it. But this is very, like, archetypal storytelling. Which one of the things that I liked about the Suicide Squad is it's this really unconventional, unusually structured movie. Just fucking weird. And at the same time, it's also kind of conventional. And I think that's a really interesting balance that he was able to execute sometimes better than others. Oh, yeah. So then Amanda Waller, how's Team 2 holding up? And you cut to, and there's this whole other thing going on. Like I said, great subversion. It establishes all the characters in the first 5 minutes to say, oh yeah, fuck all that. That's not even what we're doing here. Psych, gotcha. And of course, the comparison is they kind of did this with X-Force and Deadpool 2. Not as well, mind you, and not as extreme. Kind of the same thing, though. And then also the character Milton is a little bit like the character of the really normal guy in X-Force on Deadpool. But anyways, little things that I can point to and be like, well, there's a lot of elements that are really creative, but also there's a lot of elements that are borrowed from other things. So the actual team is King Shark, a.k.a. Nanawe? I'm not sure. I think that's how you say it. Peacemaker, which is a hilarious name. You're going to have fucking peace because I'm going to make you have peace. I love freedom I love peace no matter how many people have to die to get it. Something like that. That's funny. Polka Dot Man. Wow. What? Ended up being one of my favorite characters. Of course. I mean, he was established to be a character that you really root for. He's sympathetic. He's like cursed in a way. You know, he doesn't want the powers that were bestowed upon him. He got them through terrible means. And the way that they portrayed the polka dots, this interdimensional virus as being something like a viable, kick-ass looking power, that's crazy. Was not expecting to penis in this movie. Oh, that's funny. Polka Dot Man and Peacemaker were my faves. So, Ratcatcher 2, also one of my favorite characters. Just adorable. Like, I really liked her and her little rat. What was his name? I wrote it down somewhere in here. Anyways, really liked her and her little rat. That was cute. She's just such a nice, altruistic character. It's like, how the fuck is she fit into this whole thing? Like, these are all the hardest, ruthless criminals out there, and then this really nice girl. Sebastian, that's right. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Appreciate that. Sebastian, the rat. And then, of course, our protagonist of the movie, I'd say, even though sometimes it's a little hard to tell who the protagonist is. Is it Harley? Is it Flag? Is it Ratcatcher? Is it Bloodsport? And I think it's Bloodsport. I was having a conversation on the radio with my co-host, or I'm his co-host, with the host of this show, Let's Go Pensacola. And he was saying, yeah, I think that Bloodsport's the most transformed character. He ends up in a different place than he started, so he completes an arc in a way that none of the others do. He even overcomes his fear of rats. So this is very much Bloodsport's movie. But, and I know that, I understand storytelling and stuff. When I say it's a little confusing, it's because typically you follow a narrative through line, almost a movie, through the eyes of one specific character. But when you've got so many characters to service and people want this to be a Harley Quinn story, and Rick Flag is the team leader in the last movie, and they want you to think that he's going to make it through, they have to do some tweaking of the formula. And I like unconventional storytelling, so I'm okay with it, but it's easy to lose the plot sometimes as far as that goes. But yeah, I love Bloodsport in this movie. He was a cooler version of Deadshot almost in every way. I love that in the original, like, it sets up Deadshot like he's a bad guy, kind of, but he's got a code and he loves his daughter. He's just the best dad, and he murders people on the side. And they're like, nah, Bloodsport, he's a piece of shit. Him and his daughter, they fucking yell at each other. They cuss at each other. She thinks he's a loser. He's not decent. He's like, yeah, if you're going to steal stuff, get a lookout. That's your advice? But I like that. I think that's dope. So I like that whole kind of establishing of the characters. And it does feel like this is another example with Bloodsport of correcting the mistakes of last time, because there was a lot of people that were like, yeah, the Suicide Squad, they're supposed to be bad, but they're not really that bad. And then when people saw Guardians of the Galaxy, they're like, yeah, they were supposed to be kind of anti-heroes, but they were more just traditional heroes. So James Gunn kind of took those two criticisms and he's like, I'm gonna fucking push this past the point of it's going to be hard to root for these motherfuckers. I'm going to make it to where these people are almost so terrible that you can't get behind it. And then by the end, you're like, all right, they left the heroes on the table. The ones that are remaining at the end are all heroic characters. They decide to do the heroic thing, but leading up to that point, you get what I'm saying. So as you can tell, I have complex feelings about this. I mean, it's a perfect 10 movie. Every movie I like is a perfect 10, but this one just had some moments in it that didn't quite hit, and then other ones that I think were fantastic. Yes, Distract agreed. He says, I like the dynamic between Bloodsport and his daughter and how dysfunctional they were. Brad Feddick, do you think they missed the boat not casting Jean-Claude Van Damme as Bloodsport? Hey, I see you, bro. I see you. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, and similar to the first, Waller recruits Bloodsport by holding his daughter's life over his head, you know. Similar scene, meeting team in prison. Peacemaker is a douchebag, and I can see that everybody really likes this character. John Cena! I can see everybody really likes this character. I like John Cena as a comedic actor sometimes, but I'm not going to lie, dude, and this is a big problem for, like, do you love the movie The Suicide Squad? There are a lot of things that I liked about it, but Peacemaker's a big, important character, and I didn't think his humor worked in this. Starfish is like a butthole. If somebody loaded this whole island down with dicks and I had to eat all these dicks, I would do it for freedom. What? I don't know, man. And it either works for you or it doesn't. And humor is incredibly subjective. I made the mistake in the review of referring to the movie as immature. I don't think it's immature. I think a better way of articulating that is it goes for crass over going for clever at multiple different times. I'm not saying you're immature if you like this movie. I fucking like this movie, and I'm all right with immature humor every once in a while. But comedy is very, very subjective. I'm glad that people are hyped for the show. I really did want to like him because I know, like, he's the guy carrying the spinoff. And I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel Live with Margot Robbie and James Gunn, and I loved him on the show. Like, I liked John Cena. I didn't like the character so much. But anyways, it's just one little thing that kind of holds it back for me. And I wish I was on board. I really do wish that I liked that character more because I would love to see more from this universe. I thought that James Gunn was really good. Oh, wow. It sounds like you really like that, Brad Feddick. The Jungle Cruise. I know you mentioned it to me. I definitely need to check it out. So, as you're getting introduced to Ratcatcher... Wait. Let me back up. She recruits Bloodsport, and then we meet King Shark. He's reading the book upside down, and it's upside down. I love that. That shit is so funny. And she's like, he's developed a taste for human meat. And I was thinking, didn't they say the same thing about Killer Croc? So I went and I started watching that scene from 2016 Suicide Squad, and I saw the craziest thing. I've never noticed it before. We're talking about 2016 Suicide Squad here. In 2016 Suicide Squad, Ike Bernhold, the guy from Mad TV, he's like the lead SWAT team guy. David Ayer, the director of the movie, and a couple of other guards, they're going to see Killer Croc. And there's a sewer grate below them, like in the floor, sewer grate. They pull the grate off, and they're looking down there, and there's the bars across the sewage grate. And Ike Bernhold starts shining his flashlight down, and they're like, where are you at? Don't make me get you. And then it cuts to the title card of Killer Croc, and it shows all his stats and says he's a cannibal. He has human-eating tendencies. And I was like, that's what I was looking for. And then it cuts to a shot where Ike Bernhold and that same crew of SWAT members are standing in front of a cell with bars that go vertical up and down, and he's standing in just a regular jail cell, and he comes walking out of the shadows. So in one part of the continuity, he's down in a sewer, and then the next shot of the same continuity, and he's in a cell on ground level with everybody else. I was like, what the fuck? Like, that is objectively a problem. That's not me just nitpicking. That is like, hey, I can point to reasons why this movie's fucked up. So a lot of people like it, and that's cool, but that is a legit reason why it's fucked up. So anyways, just throwing that out there. Michael Mark, love you, buddy. Love you, buddy. I was totally joking also on my review when I said, fuck you, David Ayer. I just feel like that's the climate right now. That was my impression of the film fandom in general. Like, yeah, the new Suicide Squad's so much better than the old one. Now we can finally forget about the old one. And it's like, I don't know. It's fine. I like David Ayer. I think he's all right. Don't always like him, but I definitely like him. King of the Hills, what did I miss? Oh, you mean the Pirates reboot? The diss track said, I think immature is fair. A lot of those jokes were really easy, low-hanging fruit. The one that got me the worst is at this Ratcatcher introduction when she's tired and John Cena's like, millennials. And I saw the movie at my house, but I could just feel the audience around me busting out laughing at the word millennial. If I have to hear millennial as a punchline one more fucking time, I'm going to punch myself in the face. It's low-hanging fruit. I think Nick said it really well. It's easy, and it's not thoughtful. Millennials, am I right? And then the whole audience starts laughing, and I stand up, and I'm like, basics! Fucking basic! Not really, but you get it. Shut up, King of the Hills 34. Shut up. Yeah, I bet they did. I bet they did laugh really hard. I'm kind of also a douchebag. You guys get it. You know what's funny, Brad Feddick? I'm a millennial. That's the thing. That's why, like, when they point at 20-year-olds and they're like millennials, I'm like, I'm a millennial. It's not even young people. It's like most of the professionals. Half of the people in fucking Congress are millennials. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here. That's all I'm saying. I'll get heated, man. You start talking about millennials. Woo, buddy. Getting all bent out of shape over a joke. King of the Hills 34, I love you. You know that. Let's see. Oh, dude, while they were walking to go meet Ratcatcher in the lady jail, I think I saw a Crazy Quilt. And I'm not like Mr. Woke SJW, but every once in a while it's nice to see representation for people of colors. But she's a quilt. Anyways. Yeah, Colby, I'm like right there at the same area, man. Same area. Like I'm a young Gen Xer, old millennial. Calendar Man was in the prison too. I got to look for that. Definitely, if you know a timestamp, let me know or I'll keep an eye out for it. Oh, you guys know that shit was good. You guys know that shit was funny. No, that wasn't Crazy Quilt. It was Kaleidoscope. What? Is that right? I didn't know that. I don't even know who Kaleidoscope is. Oh, that's who Calendar Man was. I definitely saw Sean Gunn. I didn't know that was a character. Let me see this Kaleidoscope Man. I swore that was Crazy Quilt. Well, that's cool. Learn something new every day. Oh, yeah. 100%. Yep, I was wrong. Fucking millennials. I was wrong, you millennials. So that discredits you, and it makes me right again. So, yeah, dude. Then they go and they get Polka Dot Man, and I really like how he gets sick on the mission when we cut back to now, and he's like all swollen up like with hives of these glowing polka dots, and he starts vomiting them, and Bloodsport's just looking at him like, what is this? And I love that James Gunn hasn't just taken obscure comic book characters. He's taken the most insane obscure comic book characters and done something with them that's kind of endearing. So, like, yes, there are negative things, but, like, at its core, there are so many fucking cool things in it. And I love that he did that. He took the characters that are the easiest to ridicule, and he used that as a strength to build their character. And I really like that. When they're like camping that night and King Shark tries to eat Ratcatcher and she's like, you wouldn't eat your friends. I don't have any friends. And she's like, well, I'll be your friend. And they're like, you're insane. And she's like, well, if I die betting on love, then it will be an honorable death. I'm like, that's really sweet. And there's a bit of that in here in this movie where it's like, it's trying to take the most crass, over-the-top, violent, silly, toilet humory stuff and then also be sentimental. And I think a lot of the music wants to carry the way you're supposed to feel, like the at the end, and the starfish is getting eaten by rats, and it's like, is this sweet? I don't know. What the fuck is going on? This is a weird vibe. This fails the vibe check. This fails the vibe check. Yeah, that was a great scene when Ratcatcher said that to King Shark or Nanawe. Nanawe. Yeah. But I thought that was great. And then the flag rescue mission. Dude, this is where I'm real mixed up. Because this is probably the best scene in the movie and the worst scene in the movie. Oh my God, look who showed up to the chat. What's up, Wade West with the $4.99 super chat. This is the movies are woke stream? Yeah, dude, you came just in time. Thank you for stopping by, man. Yeah, most definitely. So, Jay Wolfie says he had no idea who the Guardians were before the movie, but I loved it. Yeah, that's a good point. And that speaks to Nick's point as well. James Gunn is a genius at turning unwanted IP into gold. That's a really good point. So yeah, that rescue scene, man, that was like, I don't know. It was super cool. I like the competition between Bloodsport and Peacemaker and the way it was like about the one-upsmanship. I thought Idris Elba's costume looked super dope in that scene, and the way he's utilizing the weapons and pulls out the garrettes or whatever, and like it was really cool. Also, like, there's a scene where John Cena like jumps up the side of one of those sheds, like super stealth-like, and he's just nimble for a big old lug like that dude. He can move around like a cat. And I appreciated that. I thought there was some really cool stuff in there. Anyways, it was all badass. I could tell, like, oh man, some of these people are innocent. They're just like doing laundry and whistling or singing and shit. And you're like, damn, this is messed up. And then when they get to the end, the whole thing was played for a joke. Why did my people alert me that you were in here? Because we find out Flag wasn't being held captive. He was being held in refuge. Like, they were protecting him or whatever. They're hatching this plan collaboratively. And then, oh, we didn't see anybody on the way in, but everybody's dead. Everyone you cared about is dead. It's fucked up. I was like, damn, these people are... James Gunn just said, fuck it, I'm going nihilistic as you can be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna push the envelope of good taste past anything that you're used to. And I was just like, holy crap, dude. This is really dark. And if the woman would have been like, fuck you, I'm never going to work with you, and then they would have like went their own separate ways and reconverged at the end and had similar interests, maybe I'd have felt a little better about it. But the fact that she's just like, well, I mean, you guys killed all my family, but, you know, it's fine, I guess. I'll come with you. Why not? I mean, what else am I going to do? You know? I don't know. So I have very mixed feelings about that. I'm like, it was cool. It was just, and it's dark, and I like subversive, and I definitely like, you know, mainstream films that push buttons. It's hard to root for characters like that. And that's coming from a guy who watched Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. So what the fuck am I talking about? It's just context matters. You know what I mean? Context matters. And I feel like this movie it tries to be several different things. Yeah, that lady got upset. Hey, what's up, Matt Leg? That lady got upset for like a second. Yeah, and then she's like, I'm good. Yeah, dude, for sure. Nick Mayfield, yeah, for sure. It was funny and effective, but as far as like what it means to the story and to the characters, that's where I was just like, ugh. I don't know. That's just, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about that, so I would like to hear what you guys think. Luke S. in the chat. What's up, man? What's up? Wade, I would love to hear what you thought about it. I don't know if you put up a review yet. If you guys don't know, Wade has a YouTube channel where he does reactions, first-time watch-alongs, all sorts of really good content. I've known Wade since I started making YouTube videos. He's one of like the first other YouTubers that I really like met and hung out with, or got into having conversations with and stuff. Anyways, I say all that to say go check his shit out. That's my homie. Then we get introduced to the Thinker and Project Starfish. I'm not a big Doctor Who guy, but I know the Thinker is one of the doctors. I think he's one that people really like. And we find out about the Starro thing, which is, it's cool. It's very like 1950s B-movie plot. The American astronauts, they find this floating starfish with an eye out in space, and they try to take it with them, and then it gives birth out of its little starfish armpits. I'm like, that's fucking gross. Jim Loves Art, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. You guys are fantastic. And Jim says, definitely overhyped, but I loved it. But I did take a break halfway through and finish the next day. Love what happened to Pete Davidson. Dude, that scene with Pete Davidson is so fucking funny. Just like the whole time he's in the movie, I was like, yeah, it's pretty funny. Like the werewolf thing, I mentioned it a little bit ago, but yeah, dude. And the overhyped thing might have fucked with me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, I try to go in without any sort of bias and be completely objective. And sometimes I go in and see movies that are critically hyped, like The Green Knight, and I'm like, yeah, that was that good. That might even been better than that good. And then sometimes I see a movie like The Suicide Squad that's got like a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I go in and maybe I'm like, I thought it was going to be that kind of good and it didn't hit that much, so I'm a little bit disappointed by it. Maybe there's an element of that, but I do agree it was very, very hyped. Peter Capaldi, Luke S. Peter Capaldi, I'm not sure what season doctor he is. Oh yeah, you guys are all saying it in there, sorry. So I like the Project Starfish thing. I think that's cool storytelling, very comic booky. I think a lot of people who are into DC Comics have always liked Starro because there's so many iconic comic book covers, like the one where the Justice League is all got the stars over their faces. I didn't know anything about it till I was talking to my buddy Julio on Let's Go Pensacola yesterday. But yeah, when he was kind of spelling it out to me, I was like, oh yeah, that's super cool. AJ Samano says, only gripe I had is how Polka Dot Man went out. I didn't mind that he died, but maybe one more scene of him fighting or getting starfish then dying would have been much better. Yeah, I gotta take Jim's side on this one, but I do appreciate the comment, and I can see where you're coming from. It's definitely all of a sudden, but I did like I like the way that it worked. So anyways, from there we go to the Harley Quinn side quest. This is another one that I have mixed feelings about. It felt like it was out of a different movie, and I'm not sure that's how I would have used Harley Quinn. That they're like, hey, we've got you as a POW, but now we're going to put you in this pretty red dress, and we're going to take you to this extremely handsome Court of Maltese dictator. And he's in the bathtub with his Speedos on. Is that something people do in South Central America? Is that how you bathe? It's like, look, I'm I'm comfortable with my body, but I bathe with my underwear on. Apologies about my appearance. And she's like, damn. And it's fine. And then it like cuts to this montage of them falling in love. And so if you're lonely, na 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 na. And I'm like, I don't know about this. It's kind of weird. So they've turned her into a lovesick, but it's to subvert. The point is, we're going to make it seem like she's fallen head over heels for this guy like she did Joker because she loves too intensely, too fast because of her mental illness, because of what happened with the Joker. And then he starts monologuing, doing his evil villain thing about murdering women and children. And she's like, nah, dude. She picks up this antique gun off the wall and just fucking blasts him with it. And I'm like, that's cool. And then she starts monologuing, and I like it. I like what she did there. It was a cool little monologue of basically like, you know, I know what you're thinking. Why did I shoot you? I could have just left. But when you have as bad a taste in guys as I do, then you know that they just don't leave that easy. They do this and they do that. And they tell you that the music that you like isn't even real music at all. And what else does she say? All the cruelty tears you apart after a while. And I really like that. And then she's like, I'm going to miss you and that big, beautiful monster between your legs. And I'm like, that one line kind of doesn't really work for me. Maybe I'm a prude. Maybe I'm just uncomfortable about her talking about a penis. But then the very last line she says, all in all, I think you're more pretty like this with all those rotten thoughts empty from your head. And he's just like dead on the ground, fucking bleeding out. And I was like, yeah, that's Harley Quinn, dude. That was super cool. Yeah, Michael Mark. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, that it was like there was like cool stuff in it, and then also kind of not cool stuff in it. And that's kind of how I felt about the Harley Quinn scenario just throughout the whole movie. I'm not going to say I didn't like it, because she gets a couple of kick-ass moments, including we'll come back to it in a second, but there's the bus ride scene where they're all riding through this fictional city and King Shark's longingly looking out the window at people just kind of going about their lives, realizing that he'll never have that because he's a great white shark. And you're like, oh, it's kind of sweet, but it's also like, how can I take this seriously? They just murdered an entire village of fucking people. Like, I know Amanda Waller told him to. It's just ethical questions. I don't know, man. I don't know how bad I'm supposed to feel for him, you know? I mean, we're all human. Even big giant sharks. But during that scene, Ratcatcher gives her backstory to Bloodsport. And it's neat. It's like the window outside turns into a projector screen and playing out her tragic backstory with Taika Waititi. They're like rat people. It's fucking weird, dude. But I'm like, it's kind of cool. They're all like sleeping covered in rats. It was fucking weird, dude. Yeah, AJ, you're absolutely right. That was super funny. She's like, oh wow, surprised there was a bullet in there. Something to that effect. That was good. Just so conveniently. Let me grab this one gun on display and bang, lucky. Yeah, really good stuff. But I like the Ratcatcher backstory. It was just another what the fuck moment. Only James Gunn could do something like that. I love the Harley Quinn animated show on HBO, Nick Mayfield. And I'm like a long-time James Gunn fan. That's what bothers me is people that like saw Guardians of the Galaxy and now James Gunn's their favorite director, and they're like, you just don't get it. You're not a true fan of James Gunn. I'm like, I watched him when he was a fucking horror director. I watched him when he made that movie about having incestual sex with your sister. What? James Gunn made a Romeo and Juliet movie where they were brother and sister at the end and they end up staying together anyways? Spoiler alert. Then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe James Gunn made pedophilia jokes, incest jokes. And it's like, that's who James Gunn is. And that's why I'm not surprised by a lot of the humor in the Suicide Squad. But anyways. Then there's the scene in the bar and the club, very reminiscent of the first one. Maybe a little better, maybe not quite as good, different but similar. And it was nice when they all order one drink and they forget about Sebastian, and then Peacemaker is the one to be like, hey, you forgot the rat? That was cool, man. I was like, hell yeah. And he just kind of nods. I'm like, that's the John Cena I want to see. I want him to have some sort of like arc, not to just be so one note, stoic. And I got a little bit of that nuance in that scene. I really like that scene. I like the way that they kind of turn themselves over as being Americans. But at one point, they're like, a toast. And Flag says, here's to being alive in 3 hours. Yeah, about that, bro. About that. But man, I like Flag so much better in this movie. I feel like this is the character that he's supposed to be, even though I don't know anything about the Suicide Squad comics, I'm going to be honest. But I just feel like Joel Kinnaman played to his strengths so much better in this movie. And dude, he was fucking broader in this movie too, right? Like he got pretty yoked for this one, which I appreciate. It's like, hey man, if you're willing to do some HGH to train to get ready for this movie, you have my respect, sir. If you're willing to do a cycle of roids to get in shape for this movie, I respect you deeply. Anyways, yeah, I think I liked the bar scene in this one better. There's like, everybody's dancing and having a good time. Then there's the Harley Quinn rescue mission / the Harley Quinn breakout scene. They're showing up to break her out of this, similar to what they did with Flag just a little bit ago in the movie. And I love the torture scene where she's cuffed above her head, and of course they're, abusing her or whatever. But then the second that the general leaves the room, she like wraps up with her legs around the dude's neck and starts choking him out and lifts him up off the ground, chokes him out, and then she like tiptoes across his body and grabs the keys with her toes, flips up and unlocks the fucking handcuffs with her feet. And that's really cool, super smooth. Love the way it was pulled off. James Gunn said in an interview that was actually Margot Robbie doing that she like put in so much work so that she could actually use her feet to unlock the handcuffs. And they did it beautifully. But then in the shot on the movie, her hair's covering her face, so you couldn't tell if it's her or a stunt person. He's like, that's one of my regrets of the movie, because she did that perfectly, which was badass. Contact high from Cena. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So then she breaks loose and she gets the scene that Birds of Prey wishes that it was. The hyper-violent Harley Quinn's going to kick ass. She's going to use all of her resources to wreck these people. There's a big difference in the R rating between Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad. Just throwing that out there. Quite different movies and the level that they take it. But there's these beautiful, wide, long shots. And I know there's like hallway fight scenes in lots of superhero movies, but this one decides to track from left to right from a wide space. It's not like you're up in the middle of this hallway with a big ass camera rig trying to navigate around. It's like you can see all the action. You can see the characters coming in from both sides, and there's like all the animated shit coming out the sides. It's very stylish. I really appreciated it. I thought that was a great sequence, and it was a highlight for Harley Quinn as a character. Really enjoyed that. I don't know who Christina Hodson is. I would have to look into that. But Michael Mark says Birds of Prey was a good movie, but fuck Christina Hodson, horrible screenwriter with no respect for the comics. Yeah, I'm. That's just something I don't really know about, but I'm curious, and I'll definitely look it up. I don't know if she's written anything else, but I'm definitely curious. King of the Hills 34, 199 super chat. Thank you very much for that, and thank you even more for the beautiful comment. I wouldn't mind dying between Harley's legs. Let's go, man. Yes. Yeah, man. Turn me around, make it a good final moments for both of us. You know what I mean? A tongue punch that. Oh, hell no, dude. My bad. Yeah, for real, Colby. Oh, that's good shit, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I really did like that scene, though. Again, James Gunn with the hindsight. Well, I saw what worked about Birds of Prey, and I saw what didn't work about Birds of Prey, so I took the parts that worked, and I changed them according to the criticisms that I heard about them online afterwards, and now people love it. They love it. Flag takes a drive to Flag takes the drive once they find out what's really going on with the experimentations that the Thinker has been doing on Starro. He's like, wait a second, you mean America's morally bankrupt? You mean like I've been doing all this stuff for Amanda Waller and it turns out she's not good? It's like, you think, bro. You think she's not good? She's threatening to murder people's children. She murdered a dozen people in the first movie just for like being there at the wrong time, you know? I can't believe that we're shady. This whole time I thought I was doing good. Turns out I'm doing bad. And the world's got to know about it. So he's going to take the moral high ground. And I love that. That's what Rick Flag should do. And then Peacemaker does what Peacemaker should do and be like, I can't let you do that. So that's a natural conflict. I just didn't really, and this is crazy, I didn't see the kernel of conflict between the two of them really previous to this. I mean, the Bloodsport / Peacemaker, there's like a opposition of characters and objectives there. It's established early on, but there's not really a lot of conflict between Flag and Peacemaker. So when that change happens, and it's dramatic, it does come out of nowhere. Again, it is true to the characters, but I just felt like maybe they could have done some things a little bit earlier on to show that, you know, Peacemaker's willing to go there to protect the secret. But I guess that was the revelation. Oh, he's actually a plant. He's here to make sure that none of this stuff gets out. And that fight scene was good. It was violent and like really physical. Like you felt the impact of the punches and stuff. And you could see John Cena had respect for Flag, you know, or that Peacemaker had respect for Flag. He didn't want to kill him, but both of them, they couldn't, you know, give up on what it was that they thought they were fighting for. And then he like stabs him in the heart with that shard of tile, and you see it go into his heart like some Mortal Kombat shit from like, you know, Mortal Kombat X and on, where you do like a break the bone and it's like a compound fracture X-ray type shit, and then pushes it in and gets him in the heart. And he's like, Peacemaker, what a joke. And then he falls over dead, and you can tell Peacemaker's like, fuck. Yeah. Nick, yeah, it was like he was surrounded by puppets with bombs in their skulls, and he's like, what? America bad? I can see that also, Matt Legg. It was more heartbreaking that way. The fact that it was more subtle, I can definitely see that. Flag was a colonel. Is that like a million? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know what that... I mean, I know what that is, but anyways... Michael Mark, Peacemaker, what a joke, is a career-moving line for Joel Kinnaman. Right. More heart. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was getting caught up on the comments real quick. So yeah, Flag gets killed, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. And Ratcatcher sees it happen. Baba Booey, Howard Stern penis. Oh, Colby, get out, dude. Get out. That's pretty good. That's what happens, bro, because I'm on a lag that by the time the good joke comes through, I've already lost it. But that was good. I appreciate that. I don't think it was stupid. I thought it was clever. It's just it's that lag, man. It's a real B. Maybe I can change that. I think I've got it set to like a minute latency in case something like unexpected happens. In case I say something stupid. Oh, yeah, that's right, Colby. That's right, man. Yeah, I'm just not so sure about the Peacemaker spinoff, though. Like, I don't. Is he gonna have an about face? Is the spinoff gonna be him like having some sort of moral conflict about this? Because if he's just gonna do the wrong thing for the right reasons, well, if he's gonna do bad for bad reasons that he thinks are altruistic through the whole thing, that doesn't seem super interesting for a character. But we love the anti-hero. I mean, look at Walter White, it's not like everybody has to be altruistic. I just didn't feel like there was much to him. I didn't feel like there was much there. Michael Mark, I want to see more of Jen Holland's character. Yeah, bro, me too. Me too. I want to see a lot more of her character. I think she's gonna have a big role in Peacemaker for sure. So that will be good. She was good in the movie. I didn't feel like she was just a case of nepotism. Like, I thought she played the role well. So that's cool. Like, props to her. I don't think she's been in a lot of stuff. She was a teacher in Brightburn, but yeah. Let's see here. So after that fight scene, Milton gets killed. Polka Dot Man gets to unleash his powers again for a second, and everybody's like, "Who's Milton? Milton's been with us the whole time. Are you kidding me right now? Milton was a nice guy, and he sacrificed his life to help us, and you guys don't even remember who he is." That was pretty funny. I like that. And then King Shark has that scene with the aquarium, and it's kind of like one of those look at the majesty of nature scenes. He's running and kind of dragging his hand, and all these colorful fish are following him around. He mistakes them for friendlies. And then, like, a lot of poo pew 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 stuff happens. Or pew pew, people are shooting shit. What's up, Afraid Spectator? The intro was so sad to me. I really wanted to see Captain Boomerang and Blackguard. Yeah, we could have used a little more Captain Boomerang in our life for sure. Yes, you are correct, Nick Mayfield. The computer guy, Steve Agee, actually did the physical performance for King Shark, who was voiced by Sylvester Stallone. Wade, are you serious? Okay, so Wade says the Suicide Squad is estimated to make $25 million less than Space Jam 2. What? That is insane. I'm probably in a demographic of people where it's extremely skewed, because almost everybody I know that watches the channel, friends from here in town, everybody's seen it already. So I just assumed like everybody was going to see it. I was at the Apple Market just now, and a couple of the employees there, the little local grocery store, neighborhood grocery store, and they'd seen it. I mean, they were excited about seeing it. So anyways, that's a good point, Jay Wolfie. That's a really good point. Yeah, Colby, I do believe that this is kind of the end of that. Oh, Nick Mayfield, I didn't realize Michael Jordan was in the Space Jam sequel. Apple Market for life, baby, baby. Yeah, a couple of you guys are from Pensacola. So yeah, in third acts of superhero movies, a lot of times I just kind of check the fuck out. Like, if they would have taken all of the Starro stuff out of this, or weaved it more into the whole story, because it just seems like a whole separate vignette. This movie just seems like a series of cool vignettes, each of them being fun, each of them being really dynamic and gory and over the top. But it just doesn't have like a nice, smooth flow to it. And that's why I say, like, I like the movie. The plot itself is just so inconsequential. It's just like shit just happens throughout the movie, and it's cool and it's fun, but it's just like, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's another thing. But they're trying to service a lot of characters. So I get that. Yes, I did, Michael Mark. I actually mentioned that to my buddy Julio yesterday. And he hadn't heard about it yet. So I was like, yeah, just keep an eye out for the lead singer in red at the burlesque show at that club. That's her. And there's also Lloyd Kaufman, who is the creative mind behind the New York studio Troma Productions, which was really big in the 1980s and then early 1990s, which is where James Gunn and Sean Gunn got their start. He's got a Blink and You'll Miss It cameo in that club as well. You just like kind of see him exit picture right, like he's down in the bottom corner. I was like, hey, that's fucking Lloyd Kaufman. If you know, you know. AJ, I went last night with friends who really wanted to see it, and they don't even like comic books or even saw the first one. Did they like it? Michael Mark saw Lloyd Kaufman too. That's cool. Colby, I agree. It does feel like it takes place in a different movie. Starro breaks free, soldiers and citizens get possessed, and that's pretty bleak stuff. The Thinker does say pretty early on in the movie, like, they're dead behind, earlier in the movie, they're dead behind the Starfish, like, they're basically just corpses under there. So, at the time that they get possessed by Starro, there's no bringing them back, so all those people at the end, dead as fuck, you know, like, even if they didn't shoot him, dead as fuck. So there's all that stuff. They all raise up from the dead, and the Suicide Squad, you know, they start shooting them up, and they decide that even though they've accomplished their mission, they're going to do some hero shit now. So Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Polka Dot Man, and King Shark, they're all full-on good guys now. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. They're like, we can't let all these people die. We're going to actually do something good for once. And Amanda Waller's like, don't do it. Bah! And freaks out. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. What a great little moment for Amanda Waller. She's always been so cool and calm and collected. And then out of nowhere, bunk, one of the employees knocks her the fuck out. And Steve Agee's character's like, oh no, because everybody's terrified of this woman. She's been like so oppressive to them for so long. Oh my God, what'd you do? And then she's like, what about the women and children? And then all of a sudden they jump to the control stations, and now they're like Ned from Spider-Man. They're the dude in the chair. All right, we need you to do this and then this. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is a cool little about face. Didn't dislike it. Rob Cameron, I think you'll like it, man. I think you'll like it. It's pretty fun. So yeah, now the Suicide Squad, they go in, and there's even a scene with Bloodsport where like they're all closing in around him, he's shooting, but it's not like crazy in the same way that Deadshot was. Like they're actually, you know, bringing him down. He pulls out another weapon and he's fighting him, and that like Transformer gun that he busts out at the end when he's blasting Starro, that was fucking cool, dude. Like some cool comic book stuff. I liked Bloodsport's power set and costume, and I liked Idris Elba. I thought he was just a really good lead for this movie, and tonally he fit in with it, where I liked Will Smith in the first Suicide Squad movie. He's just huge charisma, you know, but he felt like he was playing Will Smith, and he also felt out of sync with everybody else in the movie. It felt like he was in a different movie. So yeah, I feel like he was an improvement. I also love that when they're fighting Starro at the end, Idris Elba basically tells Polka Dot Man to imagine it's his mom. It's kind of like the, you know... Oh, and then he tells King Shark, nom nom, go eat Starro, which was kind of like the I'm always angry Hulk smash thing, you know? Only like King Shark just runs up and just starts munching on him, but the thing's so big, he's just like kind of taking chunks out of him. And then Ratcatcher, you know, one of these Starro creatures is like, this city is mine, and she's like, no, this city is not ours, this city is theirs, and it's always been theirs. And then just rats by the millions come flowing out of everywhere, and that song comes on again. It's a weird scoring. And it is like, I felt like one of his friends did the score for it. I don't know. It was just a weird vibe. And then it goes to Ratcatcher and her dad, and they're sitting in the same place that Venom is from that second Venom trailer. They're up at the top of that tall building overlooking the city at nighttime. I think Eddie's on the other side of it. It's kind of looking down for Carnage or something. But again, obligatory superhero movie shot. No problem with it. It was just, I don't know, man. I felt like the movie kind of ended when the showdown between Bloodsport and Peacemaker happened. That was the last of the character stuff. Everything after that's this whole like, hey, you want to see some crazy shit? Because comic book fans, they want to see some crazy shit. Like buildings got to come down, giant action, villain, like horde of villains getting killed. These are audience expectations, so we got to do that. And it just felt a little bit, again, separate from the rest of the movie. And it even does Suicide Squad versus Starro, because they kind of know, like, that's a different thing. That's like another movie in this anthology that is the Suicide Squad, which is kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Jay Wolf, you like the shot in Spider-Man 3 with the symbiote suit on top of the church thing? That's the one, bro. Yeah, that's the one. Flo Crawley was the one that knocked her out. Okay, Michael Mark, we get it, dude. You read the comic books, bro. All right. AJ Samana, the Xenomorph helmet is so badass. Yeah, dude. It was super cool. And I was always like, when he takes it off, I'm like, is the beard like the bottom part of the mouth? Like it looks... I couldn't make any sense of it, but I dug it. I thought it was super cool. And by the way, I'm totally playing Michael Mark. I wish I read the comics. I don't know anything about these characters. So she's actually Amanda's cousin in the comics and is very sweet and shy, so she wouldn't do that. That's cool. I like it that they kind of played with the character like that. I thought it was really crazy though. So the rats start piling on, and then Harley's running across the roof, and she's got the javelin, and all of a sudden it becomes crystal clear what she's supposed to do with the javelin, and she leaps. Full on leap of faith with the thing. I don't think a lot of people have seen Reign of Fire with Matthew McConaughey, but at the very end of Reign of Fire, Matthew McConaughey goes jumping off with a battle axe to kill the dragon. The dragon just eats him. Subversion of expectations. But yeah, she's lucky. She goes straight into the eye, and then she's swimming around in this starfish's eye, and all of the rats follow in, and they start eating the vessels and like eating the membrane. Snake Eyes in the chat. What's up, man? What's up? Thanks for stopping by for the conversation. Glad you made it. Yeah, dude. The rats are like eating the membranes and shit, and there's a sentimental music, and Harley's just like floating like, this is it. This is great. This is a good time. I'm like, fucking rats, dude. And then there's this line that's crazy. Starro at the very end, his last line, and I almost thought it was kind of haunting and strange. And he says, I was happy in space looking at the stars. It's like I was just out there doing my thing, and you motherfuckers grabbed me and brought me to Earth. I was just happy out there looking at stars. And you're like, man, that's kind of cool. Like, Starro wasn't some big monster. He was just this alien just existing out there, and we fucked with him, you know? Again, people. Because James Gunn is a nihilist, and this movie is mean-spirited as fuck, and I think that's what works and a lot of what doesn't work about it. So that's an interesting thing. And then, hey, Weasel. Weasel didn't drown. Weasel's still good. He just, like, wakes up on the beach, hacks up some water, and he's, going about his thing. He's harmless. Actually, he's not harmless. He killed 27 children. So I wonder what Weasel's about to get up to. I hope he's in the Peacemaker movie. I want Weasel to be Peacemaker's right-hand man. You know, like he can be the Rocket Raccoon or the Groot for Peacemaker. it's a fun watch. This movie was a very fun watch. I thought that it was something that's got a lot of replay value in it because it's visually so dynamic and it's full of good actors and fun characters and just it's got an interesting and unique aesthetic, and I love all of that. As far as the story, it's pretty lacking. As far as being real hit and miss with the humor, did think there was a bit of that. But again, I try to give you the good and the bad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to sell you on the movie. You either like it or you don't. I don't make money off you liking it or not liking it. The whole point is just having these conversations. I want to give it to you as honest and as objective as I can. And sometimes that means I might do more than just gush about how great it is or bitch about how bad it is. But I definitely think that it's a movie with good and bad in it. So, hey, what's up, Thomas Gonzalez? How you doing, man? I'm glad you made it when you did. Fun movie to watch when you want to have a fun time. Yeah, I agree. You know, I mentioned it a little bit ago, but I do believe this movie's a lot more similar to Suicide Squad than we initially may think. I feel like King Shark was the version of Killer Croc that we should have got in the original movie. I mean, he was much less racist, you know? Killer Croc, all he wanted was BET. Like, damn, dude, that is so David Ayer. That is so David Ayer. Yeah, man, that's what it is. David Ayer just wanted his whole team of Suicide Squad to be hood. He wanted them all to be gangsters, you know what I mean? And James Gunn just wanted a team full of freaky weirdos, and I feel like that suits the team a little better. And I do kind of joke, I don't think I'd mind seeing David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I mean, like, what's the bad? You know what I mean? What's the harm in letting us see this guy's movie? Oh, that's crazy. King of the Hill is 34. This stream is almost poetic and coming full circle. Your first stream last year was Fandom, and now we're here. Dude, that's so crazy. I'm glad you brought that up, man. I don't think I would have put it together, and that is kind of special. And I've been excited about this movie for a long time. This was one of my most anticipated of 2021. And I gotta say, while it didn't live up to my wildest fantasies and expectations about what this movie could be, I think it's a very strong film. You know, like, I think that there is so much to like about it. And it's really more than it needs to be. It's more than it probably should be. I think James Gunn did a very good job with the movie. It did feel a little like it was an apology and a course correction for the things that happened in the first one. And I did mention that it does have a little bit of a similar vibe to The Boys or Invincible, which are two very modern, relevant, and recent additions to the canon of superhero and supervillain lore. And this one kind of carries the torch for something like The Boys. As far as live action, comic book properties, there's really nothing else like it on the big screen, but there are, you know, at this point, superheroes have been done so many times that it's still interesting to, fuck, I lost my train of thought because I started reading. Coming on the heels of The Boys and Invincible and Deadpool 2, it's difficult to find too many different ways to tell these types of stories. And that's going to be a thing moving forward. It's like, yeah, I mean, we've seen the anti-hero, we've seen the dark, self-serious dramas like The Joker, we've seen the absurdist comedies, we've seen movies like Kick-Ass that have a different kind of sense of humor, we've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like that kind of subversive light, you know, still like family friendly and acceptable. We've seen The Dark Knight, which takes the stuff completely seriously and tries to ground it in our reality, versus something like Batman and Robin, where everything's this Technicolor fever dream of drag shows and fucking gay art. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen a lot of different kinds of superhero movies at this point, and I did think that this was a refreshing change of pace from what we typically get in the movie theaters. If Air improves on the movie as much as the Snyder Cut, then why not release it? I'd be curious. Yeah, I agree. Oh, Nick Mayfield. Just realizing this is where I watched the trailer. The first ever trailer was here with you guys. That's awesome. Damn, that is awesome. How fucking cool is that? Michael Mark, I want a sequel. Who else? Absolutely. Jay Wolfie, have I seen Chronicle? Very good question. Yes, I have. And that is another type of superhero movie where, they do the found footage direction. Then you've got Brightburn. That's like a superhero horror movie. Like, where else do you go, man? We've got a lot of science fiction superhero movies. But don't get me wrong. Like, Western movies are oftentimes formulaic, and people like what they like. People like different genres and all of those kind of things. So, as long as there's a market for it, they're going to keep making them. And as long as they're good, there's going to continue to be a market for it. And this will be a surprise to no one, but Caleb didn't love Suicide Squad 2. In fact, or The Suicide Squad. In fact, he did not like it, which I'm not surprised because it was very, very hyped. And he's a contrarian like myself. I'm much more positive on it than he was. But yeah, if you were curious about his take on it, he felt like it was basically a better remake of the first film, and he thought that it had a less consistent tone than the first film, to which I said he's a madman, but you'd still love him, God bless him. God bless you, Caleb. God bless you. So I am on the spoiler-free review at this point. Who cares, because you guys have got all the good conversation. Oh, I didn't know Caleb put his review up. Hey, Daryl's in the chat. What's up, dude? Appreciate you stopping by, man. Man, I like seeing all these badges in the chat. You guys are the best. All right, so looking through some of the comments. Jim Loves Art thinks I'm dumb to say that you shouldn't take your kids to an R-rated movie. I'm kind of paraphrasing. He says, I have this whole don't take kids to R-rated movies thing. If it says it's rated R, then it's not for kids. Pretty simple, really. It's valid. I definitely get where you're coming from, because I'm like, if you're going to take your kids to R-rated movies, because I went to R-rated movies when I was a kid, so I just assume everybody's got the same life experience, even though the world's a very different place than it was back in 1692. Thank you, Brad. Really appreciate it, man. Spencer Parker, I haven't yet started doing videos on my film reviews yet, just among my social media channels, but here's his review. So if you guys are curious about Spencer Parker's review, he's left a pretty thoughtful review down in the comments section. Arjun, I'm 14 and I saw the movie. I thought it was really good. I really liked the action scenes, particularly the crazy Harley Quinn one. The story was quite good and I love the characters. I do think some things didn't work. I wasn't a fan of the massacre scene because it ended up being a joke and it left a bad taste in my mouth. I agree very much with that. And I did think some of the writing didn't work well. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Very, very high praise. I appreciate that. Nick Mayfield loved watching the Peacemaker and Rick fight off the back of Peacemaker's helmet. I'm glad you brought that up, dude. That was a very creative and cool shot. And it kind of spells out that Peacemaker is going to be victorious in a way. But yeah, because he's got that reflective helmet on, it shows a pretty substantial part of their fisticuffs from the perspective of that helmet sitting on the ground. That's some cool shit, man. I'm glad you mentioned that. So if there's any little specific things that you guys saw that you want to talk about, it would probably help me out as well. So if there's a little specific cool nuggets of detail and filmmaking that you saw, let's bring those up instead of just the general movie good, movie bad. The Cat Drums 3. So this is more of a remake of Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. Not sure how many of you guys get that joke, but I did, and I appreciate you. The Cat Drums 3. The Graveyard Shift is a movie about giant motherfucking rats, or a bunch of rats. Evil rats. J Rams 517, great movie, which the second act didn't halt the movie as much as it did. I think the stuff with Harley in the palace was just kind of bad. Wish they did something a bit more unique with her character in this. Other than that, really, really enjoyed it. 8.6 out of 10. I think it's my second favorite DCEU movie behind Wonder Woman. Excited to see Gunn's Peacemaker HBO Max series in January, and Gunn back at Marvel to finish Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the holiday special as well. I forgot about the holiday special. That's pretty exciting. Millennials, Michael, sorry about that. Millennials be tired, bro. You didn't know that? Nick Mayfield. Hey, I've heard of that guy before. Absolutely love this movie. I thought the mix of gore and humor was great. Great cinematography, too. Very happy to finally get a movie that didn't disappoint. Excited to talk with you about it in tomorrow's live. Man, you're the best. I appreciate you stopping by. Distract agrees with a 3.5. Awesome use of color on the positive side. Special effects were strong. Love the environmental chapter titles. Totally agreed. Love the visual depiction of Polka Dot Boy's mommy issues. It didn't really bring that up, but that was super fucking cool. When they're like, where's your mother? Everywhere. And then all of the Suicide Squad all look exactly like his mom. That's pretty good shit. Really slick direction, super strong opening, and the casting was spot on. On the negative side, second act was a slog. Some of the humor felt more fit for Sandler movie. Music choices were hit and miss for me as well, and the post-credits reveal undercut the film and felt unearned in my opinion. Great review, digging the new thumbnail. Style, by the way. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that, my friend. Dante says, fantastic review. Can't wait to see it in theaters tomorrow. Thomas Gonzalez, I watched this at home with my wife and 5 daughters. You're a busy man. We all liked it except my wife. The movie was very self-aware and over the top. Kind of had that Robert Rodriguez feel. Good call, man. Very good call. And Robert Rodriguez does over-the-top gore, and he's been doing it forever. From Desperado to even more Planet Terror. I think that Robert Rodriguez connection is very well, very, very thoughtful. My girls like scary movies, so it wasn't too gory, but it was graphic and scenes we didn't expect. Overall, it was meh, and the comedy didn't land enough for me to think I'd be watching it on repeat type of movie. Good review. I agree with Deadpool and Birds of Prey feel for a lot of parts. Odd moment for me is the fact that my 3-year-old loves sharks, so the king shark character she liked and cried when he got shot or thrown into the building. Weird dad moment when I'm consoling my 3-year-old, telling her, it's okay, baby, look, he's still eating people, look, it's okay. Oh, good shit. Here's a spoiler comment from Timothy Breidinger. Some of it was great, some of it was rushed and underachieved, but some of it was greatly loaded with gore, vulgarity, and fun moments. Def didn't leave much time to breathe in any of the moments and was disappointed by the whole concept of Waller and the detonator not really mattering. One of my favorite moments was the camp siege attack, and it turns out they killed the allies. Also, wholeheartedly agree, would do well on IMAX and in 3D. Brad Fedek, Harley Quinn this time around just felt like a separate movie. That was better than Birds of Prey. Margot was amazing, so I'll take it. Yeah, most definitely. Michael Mark, favorite film of 2021. Colby says Shazam is still his favorite of the DCEU, with this being a close second. Caden says, I liked it, and the theater I was in really seemed to enjoy it. Most of the jokes really hit for me and got me more engaged each time the movie slowed down. I think the whole Harley Palace scene was a bit much, but looking back on it, I guess the whole movie was a bit much, so I don't know. I think that's a good point as well. Probably one of my favorite DCEU films, but definitely wouldn't rank it above Snyder's Justice League. Overall, fun, hard R DC comic book movie, 8 out of 10 for me. It's very difficult to compare something like Zack Snyder's Justice League to something like The Suicide Squad, but I would kind of like to hear people's takes on that. If you have any contribution to that conversation. Zack Snyder's iteration of the DCEU was very serious, very grand ambitions. It wants to tell epic, sweeping superhero stories. The Suicide Squad is a completely different approach. It's lack of sentimentality. It's nihilism. It's just basically fuck it attitude towards a lot of, I don't want to say fuck it attitude towards comic books, but not treating them with such reverence, like not being so precious about their lives or anything like that. I feel like one is so much more... Shit. One of the movies is so much more fun in style and tone to the other and by design. So I think I prefer the Suicide Squad. But I would totally understand if you thought that the Justice League, was more reverential towards your love of comic book characters. Let's see. Afraid Spectator prefers Suicide Squad. Let's see. Complete different tones, can't compare them, like both. Great films, though. Zack Snyder's Justice League was better than Suicide Squad, just my personal opinion. Did you see John Ostrander's cameo? Michael Mark, I did not, but I just learned who he was yesterday. He is the creator kind of this iteration of the Suicide Squad. Even though all of the characters existed in their own canon outside of the Suicide Squad, he's the one that kind of brought them all together, turned it into a Dirty Dozen style war comic book, and dialed up the elements that are the most familiar in James Gunn's movie. That's just secondhand information, but I think that's really cool that they gave him the love. Mark McKeever in the chat. What's up, dude? I watched this movie without seeing the last two trailers, and I'm glad I did. The movie worked extremely well going in blindly. 8 out of 10. Hell yeah. Jay Wolfie, I might agree with you that the Suicide Squad is easily the best DCEU movie. I might agree with you. I might need a little bit more distance from it to be 100% on that. But Ceramic Coconut said, I loved it, and I'm no DC fanboy or anything. It had gore for sure, but I've seen infinitely more gory and disturbing films than this. No, you haven't. I asked him about it, and I love you guys, and if I just engage in conversation, but he says, I also love the humor and the characters. I think the Deadpool movies are a good comparison, but I also love those. Polka Dot Man was my favorite. Easily my favorite recent DC movie so far. One of my favorites of the year. And I was like, bro, if you've seen more disturbing movies, let me know what they are. I'm really curious. Just because I don't know. Best and favorite are totally different questions, Colby. I think that's 100% valid. He says, Martyrs. How many of you guys have seen the French extreme torture film Martyrs? Cube. Riki-Oh. How many of you guys have seen Riki-Oh? Japanese stuff like Audition. Seen Audition? Ichi the Killer. Seen Ichi the Killer? Hellraiser movies. I think you can count some people that have seen Hellraiser. The Thing. Repo, the genetic opera. And I say, all right, dude, I see you. You've watched a bunch of obscure, extreme horror movies. That's basically my thing. Is like, yeah, I've seen all. Those are not mainstream movies by any means. And as I go through that list, I think the only one that he said, even out of all these crazy movies, that's even more gory, would be Ichi the Killer. I'm pretty sure Ichi the Killer is probably more gory than this. I don't even think so, though. I honestly don't even think so. There's some episodes of The Walking Dead that are mainstream, that are very gory. And like I said, The Boys a minute ago. But the dude likes good movies, I'll tell you that much. Those are a lot of the movies that I've gone down the list and watched. Stephen Frazier's seen Martyrs. Random Andy's channel asked about a Serbian film. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Yes. So when people are like, have you seen H-Mart, Ichi the Killer, made me truly uncomfortable. Yeah, I think that's fair. Otherwise, you're a sick fuck, because it is. Oh, boy. But that's what I'm saying. When I say this is one of the goriest movies I've seen, I've seen them. I've seen most of... what was the... Tokyo... No. Mama Monster? Yeah. And there's a couple other ones like that. But those are splatter movies. This is a mainstream multiplex playing, hey, just go to the theater. You might stumble into this. And it's pretty extreme as far as that goes. But Yes, so there are gorier movies out there, just not that many. Carlito says, for me, this is the best DC movie next to Man of Steel. I love this from Michael Mark yesterday. David Ayer didn't make Suicide Squad. Trailer Park Studios did. Don't be mean to David Ayer. Movies are terrible. I think that's fantastic. He's right. Brawl in Cell Block 99. Would you say it's gorier? It's definitely more brutal and feels gorier because a lot of the stuff in the Suicide Squad, it's jokey, so it hits different. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel as graphically violent, as less graphically. Like if you said, hey, Jeremy, what's more disturbing? The Suicide Squad with Michael Rooker or Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer with Michael Rooker? The answer is obviously Henry. It is real fucked up, but it's nowhere near as gory. Definitely more brutal. Yeah, you feel it more, in Brawl in Cell Block 99. But yeah, you guys are kind of like, yes, I'm a deep cut movie nerd, so I've seen a lot of the more, I exist in two different worlds, and that's why like when I love talking to MCU, I love talking DC, but they're not the only thing I watch. So if I'm like, it's pretty good, but maybe not the greatest thing I've ever seen, it's because I watch a whole lot of other random weird shit, so it's not just that. Mark McKeever, how would you rate the marketing for the Suicide Squad? It showed a little more than it should have, but I didn't feel like it ruined any of the movie. I think it was extremely effective to excite me about it, but as Wade West said just a little bit ago in the live chat, it's not projected to make a whole lot of money. So what the fuck do I know? But I thought the marketing was really good. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about that. Brad Feddick, thanks for coming by, man. Hope to see you soon. Yeah, Thursday for sure. TMS, SMT, I have a really hard time motivating myself to watch a DC film. Majority of them have just been so bad. Guardians is also one of my least favorite Marvel stories, so Guardians plus DC is a no for me. You sound like Caleb, dude, and I respect it. Colby Sullivan, don't get too attached, shouldn't have been on the posters. Was it? I remember hearing Gunn say that in an interview, and maybe they took his quote and put it in the marketing. I do remember hearing that. I hadn't seen the poster with it on there, though. That's wild, dude. I mean, it's accurate, But yeah, I think there were so many cool parts in the movie. I really had fun with it. For anybody keeping tabs, I've seen it 3 times now. I watched it Thursday night after I streamed. I watched it Friday morning before I went on the radio, and then I watched it this morning so that I could take some notes. So I've seen it. And I like it a lot. They put some of the better jokes in the trailer. That's a good point, AJ. That's a good point. They definitely did put some of the better jokes in the trailer. And I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for Don't Breathe 2, but it infuriates me to no end how much of the movie they show in it. Like, the first couple times it came on, I literally closed my eyes like halfway through it because I was like, I can tell this is ruining the fucking movie. And since then, it's been playing before every movie I've went and see. So, like, I've seen the whole trailer now. And it's like, okay, there's where he picks the guy off with the hammer. Okay, there's where the 3 guys come in and they step into the water. And I don't even want to say all of it. But yes, trailers do always show too much. That's very annoying. The plot of Don't Breathe 2 is infuriating to me, says AJ. I hope they do something interesting with it. Like I was saying about the Suicide Squad, how it's tough to root for reprehensible characters. That takes that to a whole different level. That is more on the same plane as something like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I think just to keep it clean as far as what this video is, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But I think I'm also going to keep streaming today. So if any of you guys are interested in being a part of another stream, I'm going to just do some like reacting to some crazy videos that I've been watching over the past couple of days and all that kind of stuff. But I think for now, we're going to wrap this one up. It's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to all of you guys, like always. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, take a second to click the thumbs up button while you're here. It really does help out the channel. Thank you all very much for the super chats. If you want to consider supporting the channel, then click the join button below or head over and check out Movies Are Terrible on Patreon. If you want a little something out of it, make sure to check out Terrible Apparel over on Teespring. I've got some new designs that are going up over there soon. And I appreciate you. If you're not subscribed and you want to stay up to date with all of the terrible content, all you got to do is click the button, then click the bell to enable notifications, and then cross your fingers that those notifications come through. I'm Jeremy, and until the next video, be terrible. Peace.